Hey guys, Dev with Crime Hive, and we're back with another story, another bizarre story that deals with murder, of course, but dismemberment. Another person dismembered, and it's just getting crazy out there. I don't know what you guys think about that, but what you're looking at here is CEO of Gokada, and I'll talk about that here in just a minute. And his name is Fahim Saleh. He was murdered by his executive assistant, Tyrese Haspil, right over here. And Tyrese is only 21 years old. Somehow lands this executive assistant job working with Fahim. Don't know how that came about. Still learning details as we're learning, but we do know that Tyrese was just arrested yesterday. As I'm doing this video on a Saturday, he was arrested Friday morning. And the murder had taken place just on Monday, just days before, on July 13th. So we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about how police potentially found out about Tyrese and how they may have learned about who he was and how it led to his capture so quickly. And we're going to talk about a few of those things here. Before I do, again, as always, this is Dev with Crime Hive. If you like these kind of videos, subscribe. Always make sure you hit that bell notification because it does give you updates when I come out with new videos. And let's get started here with this one again. So going back to this story here, I just want to give you a little bit of background about Fahim and kind of what he's all about, just so you guys have a better idea as well. And we're going to talk about the information I have thus far. It's still developing, a lot of different reports. It does evolve, and sometimes information comes in later on after this video. I'll try to keep you guys updated. But a few things here. Gokada, that's really Fahim's latest project. Before he was murdered, he was really, this company was in Nigeria here, and it was a ride-sharing company originally. So it was those little motorcycles here were used as a ride-sharing platform, but then the government actually came in, shut it down, and then he had to evolve. Fahim, being an entrepreneur, he's very innovative. Sounds like he had a brilliant mind, and he was known to innovate and very clever. They started changing their platform into a parcel delivery system. So I'm looking at the website here, and it's all about fast pickup, delivery. They're delivering parcel information, very quickly. It's all tracked, and so just a really interesting company. Now, he had originally founded Prankdile.com. There's other projects that he did. He's done so many different things, but if you guys remember Prankdile, I'm going to talk about that here in just a little bit, but he also had founded that in 2015, which has made approximately about $10 million with that company. So he's a multimillionaire. He had this assistant. I'm going to talk about the details here with this story. So a couple things here with the assistant. We know that apparently investigators found out that he had bought cleaning supplies, and he bought an electric saw to plan this murder. So right there shows the premeditation right there, that he wanted his boss murdered, and he had planned this. Now, people are wondering, why did he do this? Well, the reports that are coming in right now are saying that they believe Tyrese had embezzled approximately $100,000 worth of Fahim's money. Fahim found out. There were text messages about this information, and apparently Fahim was trying to work out a payment plan. He wasn't going to go to the authorities. He was going to try to work something out with Tyrese. Well, what we learn, and investigators do have video, and all this stuff's not released right now as it's still an active investigation, but here's a few things that we do know. I'll mention this here about the equipment though here. So court papers say that he did purchase the electric saw and cleaning supplies at a hardware store on Tuesday morning, okay? Which is actually interesting to me, because that right there, I know there's been speculation that it was premeditation, but if he was murdered on Monday afternoon, sounds like he waited, from other reports, so this is what they're saying, is he waited for the blood to coagulate, basically, harden, get into a more solid form. And after it was coagulating, and he came back Tuesday with these supplies, So they actually charged him with second degree, which isn't the first degree with the premeditation. And it might be because he got the supplies on Tuesday when Fahim was murdered on a Monday. So just wanted to clarify that. I've seen different reports, though. There's a little confusion on some of those right now that I'm already seeing on some of them. But what happened was Fahim went on an elevator. This is on Monday afternoon. He goes on an elevator with Tyrese, and it's a private elevator. So what's interesting is this goes directly into his luxury apartment. This is in Manhattan. And as soon as the door is opening, apparently investigators have seen this, I've seen the reports on this, that they actually see Fahim drop down to the ground. And so they believe that as the door was opening to the elevator into Fahim's apartment, they believe that Tyrese may have used a taser on Fahim, stunning him, and then he stabbed him multiple times inside the apartment. So they don't have footage inside the apartment. They only see the first part of him apparently dropping down to the ground. So they from the autopsy reports, he was stunned with a taser. They believe it was a taser. I'm going to talk about the importance of that towards the end as well. Now, he was then stabbed multiple times, and then apparently he may have escaped. And I'm going to show you this little video. Or before I do, actually, I want to show you some photos here, and I'll go down to it here. So here is Tyrese. He was actually in custody. This, again, was Friday morning, not too long ago. I'll just show a couple pictures. This comes from Daily Mail. They always have some really good pictures and reports on these things. So you got investigators collecting a ton of evidence, bags of evidence outside the apartment complex. This is what the apartment looks like right here. And then look at the evidence collection going on there. So very, very solid case from what it seems like. Still got to presume innocence until guilt, right? But I wanted to show you one important thing down here that it shows, and it's a map of his apartment. So right here, here's what I want to point out. So apparently in the room, okay, you've got, this is a kind of a layout of what his apartment looks like. There's actually a staircase nearby. So investigators believe that even though he was in the elevator with Fahim, he may have escaped through a stairway at the end after he had murdered Fahim. So they didn't seem to have elevator or actual footage of this, and so that's why they think he may have gone and left a different direction and may not have been on camera. So anyway, he goes then to a hardware store, buys these cleaning supplies and electric saw, comes back and apparently dismembers Fahim. He didn't finish, though. Sounds like he may have been spooked because a family member, potentially Fahim's sister, knocked on the door or rang the doorbell and may have literally interrupted Tyrese as he was dismembering Fahim's body. So Fahim's arms and legs were dismembered. His head was decapitated, and things were just left behind. There was a vacuum that was still there. The saw. He had apparently placed Fahim's arms and legs into some bags, some plastic bags, and he was maybe getting ready to, he was going to hide the body. And so still developing, like I said. If you guys have updates, I always like to hear your comments and have those updates in there. And then a couple other things I wanted to mention here. Now, that's basically what we know about the actual murder. Now, I want to talk about the Prankdile here, because this is the company that really put Fahim on the map, and this was back in 2015. Again, made millions of dollars from this site alone. If you guys aren't familiar with it, pretty clever site. I'll just give you an example of one of the videos that were created. It just allows people to download these, and then they can, it's all in fun and games where you can prank people. Here's one example of it. You guys might need to turn up your volume for it.
You have to pay. Yes. Okay. You've been pranked by PrankDial.com.
That's the end of it, I think. Let's try this.
Nick's Pizza here. I just want to know why I should drop off these pizzas. I'm not sure. I can't quite find your house. Was it a road or was it a street? What exactly was it? Look, you ordered about 20 pizzas and 3 Cokes as well as 2 Sprites, so I'm just here to drop them off for whatever party or occasion. No, excuse me, whatever party occasion you're having. So I just need your house address or wherever you live so I can deliver these and get back to work. Look, I don't care. You ordered these pizzas, you gotta pay for them.
So, just to give you an idea of what this site was. So, again, very creative mind. Very had a lot going for him. Very intelligent, and it's tragic that he was killed in such a horrific manner that a lot of people are shocked by it. By his own assistant, who apparently had embezzled $100,000 from him, and potentially thought he couldn't pay this back. I don't know. There's got to be more to this story. Still don't know how he became an assistant. But here's another interesting side note about that. The reason why I wanted to show Prankdile as well is because apparently there was a former corrections officer, a deputy, and he apparently lost his job, went to prison over utilizing a couple different apps, including Prankdile. Now, it wasn't just Prankdile. I'll explain this here in just a second. So he was actually sentenced to 21 months for illegal wiretaps. And so what I learned from this, apparently this deputy, his name is Kirk Eady, he apparently was in the process of suing Fahim with Prankdile. And when I was actually reading through this article, it talks about what he actually did with this app. And so apparently what he says is right here, he says in one of the calls she recorded for the FBI, this is somebody that actually went undercover, essentially, that knows the deputy and recorded these conversations with him. So what he says to her, and this is what ultimately got him captured, was he says to her on audio while it's recording that it's a program called Prankdile. And so it's another app within an app, and with that app I can listen to people talk. It's called Evil Operator. So he basically, what he did is he used this app called Evil Operator, and then he also used Prankdile. He called 2 different employees of his that then he connected them to this phone call together. So they were both connected to the same phone call, and then he had it recorded, and he was listening to their conversations apparently and what they were saying. And he was just kind of a creep. He would then listen to these conversations and go with that information to these deputies and basically say, hey, I knew you were talking about me, you were saying this about me, and just an odd situation. But apparently this lands him in prison. He obviously loses his job, and it comes from that app. So interesting side note on that. The biggest thing I wanted to mention here, and I think this is the most important part of how Tyrese may have been captured, okay? And there was a report that I saw that mentioned that it was possible that the taser that Tyrese used, it actually may not have been a stun gun. I was originally thinking it was a stun gun, but it sounds like he actually used a taser. And if those tasers are fired, what happens is there's confetti, little tiny pieces of confetti when a taser is fired at somebody. And on those tiny little pieces of confetti is the serial number for the taser that can then be linked back to the owner. So, and here's a good little just definition. They're called Aphids, right? It's an anti-felon identification is what this is. They're just little tags. They're little serial numbers, essentially, that can allow investigators to track this down. So what I wanted to show you is a tiny little video that kind of replicates what I'm talking about here, and it'll explain that here for you. So I'm going to turn this up here real quick and give you an idea. So this is in slow motion. And you can see these little tiny pieces of confetti that actually have the serial number on them. That's what may have linked investigators to Tyrese and led to his capture. So I wanted to point that out, and they're going to mention it here in just a second as well.
So you're probably wondering at this point, what's up with the confetti? And these are actually known as the Aphids. It's a good way of tracking which taser has been deployed, who fired it, because each tiny piece of confetti has the serial number of the cartridge that fired it. Very clever, because you can never pick them all up.
Pretty interesting. So anyway, so I just wanted to show you guys that. So still a developing story. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope you guys at least got some new information about this as I continue to get it. And I will be back with another video. If you guys like this, subscribe to my channel. Let me know your comments below. This is Dev with Crime Hive, and I'll be back in another video soon. You guys take care.